Imagine entering a dark room. Everything is silent, suspended, as if the very air is holding its breath. You sense infinite possibilities, floating, invisible, in the shadows. Every particle, every story is asleep until you arrive with your gaze. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover that nothing you see is random. The simple act of observation is so creative and powerful that everything you perceive becomes ordered and is born in that very instant. What seems mysterious, chaotic, or accidental actually follows a secret choreography between your consciousness and the very essence of the universe. Think of a drop of water falling onto a still lake. Before it touches the surface, the drop is pure potential. It could fall here or there, evaporate, or simply vanish. But when it finally lands, reality changes, ripples spread, reflections appear, a new story unfolds. That's how quantum collapse works. Reality, like the lake, is held in suspense until the presence of the observer, you touches it and defines it. You might not realize it, but every morning, as you open your eyes, you create your own sunrise. The color of the sky, the first thought you have, the emotion you choose to feel, all of it is born in that instant. Quantum physics isn't some distant, abstract topic. It's alive in the simple act of looking at the world and making it your own. Have you ever wondered what would change if you saw yourself as a creator, not just a spectator? Great sages, both mystical and scientific, have whispered this truth for centuries. Reality is a living, vibrant web that responds to the eye that observes it. In quantum mechanics, the collapse of the wave function means that before being observed, everything exists only as a possibility. It's the act of observation, of bringing awareness, that gives birth to form, color, and event. This isn't just a theory. Experiments like the double-slit experiment prove it. A particle acts like a wave, pure potential, until someone watches, and then it chooses a single path. This paradox, which amazed physicists like Bohr and Heisenberg, lies at the heart of the mystery. What you observe, literally, is born in that instant. Many people believe reality is already set, like a fixed stage, where we're just secondary actors. We're taught to think that things are just the way they are, and our gaze has no power. It's normal to feel doubts or fall back into the idea that we're victims of chance, especially when life feels uncertain. But even in those moments, the mystery of collapse is still active. Every thought, every feeling, every act of attention is a seed that can change the scene. Over the next few minutes, we'll cross together the frontier between what's possible and what's real. Will you dare to look at your day as if every instant is new? Take a soft breath, place a hand on your heart, and feel the pulse of the invisible. Gently close your eyes. Bring your focus to your breathing. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and release for 6. As you do this, repeat inside, "My gaze creates my reality." Feel how each breath is a door to the possible, and each exhale is an act of birth. This is your minimum visible step for today. Observe with presence, even if it's just for a moment. Maybe you can't change everything all at once, but you can start with your gaze. Remember, every time you choose to observe something new, you are born alongside that instant. If this idea has sparked something in you, let it shine and share that frequency word in the comments. I create my instant. Give this video a like if you want to help more people discover their hidden power, not for the numbers, but for the frequency we generate together. See you in the next few minutes, as we continue to unveil the secrets of collapse and the art of manifestation. Have you ever felt that the simple act of looking at something transforms it? As if, by observing a memory, the emotion itself changes. By paying attention to a wound, the pain takes a new shape. This mystery, which feels almost magical, is as old as the universe and as modern as quantum physics. In the world's most advanced laboratories, scientists have witnessed the impossible when a particle is observed. Its behavior changes. No one can fully explain why. Before it's seen, it lives like a cloud of possibilities, like a dream not yet told. But when the gaze arrives, whether from a human, an animal, a machine, or even a simple intention, the particle chooses a form, a place, a moment. Everything unobserved remains floating in the realm of the possible. The double-slit experiment is much more than a laboratory trick. It's a key that reveals the core enigma of existence. Without an observer, matter remains undecided. The universe waits in silent expectation for someone to awaken its light. That's you every morning, a call to what's sleeping, to rise and take form. But this doesn't only happen in science labs or advanced theories. It happens in your daily life. Think about your relationships. When you don't pay attention to someone, that person fades into the background of your reality. But if you look, if you listen, if you truly bring your consciousness to them, something awakens and changes. The same happens with dreams, fears, even your own body. What you observe is born. What you ignore remains waiting, longing for your light. True magic isn't just ancient rituals or secret words. It's the ability to look so purely and so presently that the universe responds like a mirror and transforms before your eyes. That's why magicians, sages, and children, yes, children, can see miracles where others only see routine. They haven't forgotten that the gaze is creative, that wonder is a key to invisible doors. Quantum theorists have long asked if consciousness is the real agent of collapse. At the deepest level, is the universe waiting to be felt, loved, contemplated? Physicist John Wheeler spoke of the participatory universe, a reality in which the act of observing is not passive, but the engine of being itself. We are not here to just watch the world. We are here to co-create each instant, moment after moment. In the esoteric realm, this truth wears different clothes, but the message is identical. The magician directs their attention like a spear of light. The alchemist sees gold where others see only lead. The mystic looks into emptiness and discovers fullness. Ancient rituals taught apprentices to gaze at a candle for hours, not to become hypnotized, but to discover that a steady, loving gaze changes the substance of fire. Every ritual starts and ends with a conscious act of attention. And what happens when we fall into the trap of autopilot? When we live without really observing, repeating gestures, words, and emotions we inherited, reality turns predictable and dull. It's normal to have days like this. We were taught to survive, not to create. We were told reality is out there, fixed and unchanging. But the mystery of collapse reminds you that just a spark of awareness is enough to begin again. This is why cultures around the world have spoken of the all-seeing eye, the inner eye, the silent witness. It's not just a symbol, it's an invitation. Every time you choose to look with presence, you activate a portal. Quantum collapse and spiritual awakening walk hand in hand. Both require you to be present, to observe with intention, to decide how to look. Today I invite you to a simple game. Choose an object around you. It could be a stone, a leaf, a cup, and observe it with all your attention for a minute. Don't judge, don't expect anything, just look. Feel how, as you give it your gaze, the object becomes more real, more vibrant. That is quantum magic in action. Reality is born, here and now, through you. Maybe you'll discover that, by the end, it's not only the object that's changed, but you as well. Because every time you truly look, something wakes up, inside and out. If you forget this power, don't blame yourself. We all lose track sometimes. It's human to forget, sacred to remember. The key is to return, again and again, to the present moment. Let your gaze be an act of creation. Feel the power to choose what to observe and how to do it. If you'd like to share this discovery, leave the frequency word in the comments. I awaken my gaze. Together, we add light to the field. And if you want more souls to remember their power, leave an altruistic like, not for the numbers, but because we expand this frequency and support each other in the mystery. In the next few minutes, we'll go even deeper, exploring how intention, feeling, and conscious practice can change your entire reality, collapsing possibilities toward the destiny your soul chooses. Sometimes, the hardest part is not understanding the mystery, but daring to live it. We've been told so many times that reality is tough, fixed, and unchangeable that we forget our own power. Yet, if quantum physics and mystical traditions agree on anything, it's in reminding us that the invisible weighs just as much as the visible, and the subtle, what we barely touch with our attention, can transform everything. Think for a moment about the air you breathe. You can't see it, but you feel it fill your body. Each molecule enters and leaves, turning the invisible into life. Consciousness works the same way. You can't hold it in your hand, but you can feel how, by directing your attention, everything changes flavor. Science and magic don't contradict each other here, both celebrate presence, that forgotten art of truly being here in this instant. Quantum physics has shown us a universe where the rules are flexible, where matter dances between certainty and possibility. Great experiments, like the double slit, show us that even the smallest, most humble observer can change the outcome of an event. You don't need to be a genius or an initiate, just be attentive. Truly look. But what does it mean to truly look? It's not just about opening your eyes. It's about looking with your whole being. Mystics call it inner vision, awakened sight, the present witness. Physicists speak of wave-function collapse. Magicians call it an act of power. Different languages for the same doorway. When you truly look, reality folds and answers you. In everyday life, this principle is more real than you imagine. Think about the art of listening. When someone tells you a story, and you only hear the words, the experience fades. But if you listen with your whole body, without judgment, without interrupting, the story comes alive. The storyteller transforms, energy changes, connection becomes visible. Every conversation is an opportunity to manifest presence, to collapse the possible into something alive. The ancients knew the secret wasn't in forcing the world, but in refining the gaze. That's why rituals always began with a pause, a gathering inwards, an invitation to full attention. A magician, before casting a spell, would take a deep breath and feel the pulse of the moment. A shaman, before dancing, close their eyes and embrace the mystery. A scientist, before observing an experiment, would ask, "What do I expect to see? What could reveal itself that I haven't even imagined?" It's easy to forget this power when the noise of the world covers everything. Hurry, routine, fear of the future, nostalgia for the past. These all pull us away from the only place where reality can be born here and now. But you can always return. All it takes is a deep breath, a pause, a sincere question. What am I observing now? On the esoteric level, it's taught that the gaze can open portals. Where you focus your attention, energy grows. If you think about your dreams with love, those dreams bloom. If you focus on lack, lack multiplies. It's not about denying difficulty, but about choosing what you give life to with your gaze. Magic isn't a trick, it's an art of focus. Now, imagine your attention as a ray of light in a dark theater. Wherever you point it, details wake up, colors become intense, shapes take on meaning. What remains in shadow waits for your decision. This theater is your life, and you are the spectator, the light director, the main actor. If every day you choose to shine your light on a new corner, you'll discover hidden treasures and paths that once seemed closed. Many wonder, what if I fail? What if my gaze changes nothing? It's natural to doubt. Even the wise have felt that fear. The key is to normalize relapse. There will be days when you forget, when your mind runs and reality seems the same as always. It's okay. Returning is part of the journey. Every time you remember your power to observe, you open the door again. It doesn't matter how many times you get lost, but how many times you choose to return. Now, if you want to experience the mystery of collapse in your own life, try this simple exercise. Take a situation that makes you uneasy or uncertain. It can be something small, a pending conversation, a goal you struggle to achieve, a painful memory. Sit in silence and observe it. Don't judge, don't try to change it. Just observe. Breathe in 4, pause 2, and release in 6. Do it for a couple of minutes, letting your attention embrace that situation without resistance. You might notice something softens, the energy changes, maybe a new idea appears, or an emotion dissolves, or you simply feel relief. That's the mystery in action. Your observation collapses possibilities, and something different can be born. Remember, The act of observing is sacred. You don't need perfection, just honesty. If this exercise has helped you, if you felt even a small change, share your frequency word in the comments. I open my portal. In this way, we weave together a network of presence and transformation, where every gaze counts. And if you feel this message could help others, leave an altruistic like. Not for numbers, but because by doing so, you activate a chain of conscious intention, expanding the magic across the invisible field. In the next few minutes, we'll keep exploring how, by transforming the way you observe, you can attract new realities and experience collapse as an everyday art, accessible to all. If you start looking at your day with new eyes, you'll begin to notice that the universe isn't a blind machine, but a living, receptive field, sensitive to every nuance of your attention. Quantum science has intuited this, and sages throughout the ages have quietly proclaimed it. Reality is malleable. It bends to your gaze. But this mystery, as fascinating as it is, comes with a hidden responsibility, one almost nobody talks about. Some people fear this idea and prefer to let autopilot take over, convinced that nothing changes just by looking differently. Yet, even the most materialistic currents eventually yield to the evidence. Everything you stop observing vanishes into the shadow of forgetfulness, memory, relationships, health, meaning. All of these flourish or wither according to the quality of your attention. Imagine a city at dawn, shrouded in fog. Only when the light touches the streets do colors, faces, and movements begin to take shape. Your consciousness works the same way. Every focus of attention dissolves the mist, revealing details you never knew existed. The mystery of collapse acts the same in your mind and your life. What you truly see is revealed. What you ignore returns to the sea of the indeterminate. Have you ever wondered why you sometimes feel like you repeat the same problems, the same emotions, the same closed paths? It's the old habit of observing the same things as always, unconsciously looking for proof that confirms your old story. The quantum field, this ocean of possibilities, always offers new routes, but your gaze often settles on what's already known, what feels safe, even if it doesn't make you happy. Practical magic and applied mysticism don't aim to escape pain or deny difficulty. Instead, they invite you to open your gaze and discover new paths, new answers, new everyday miracles. When you allow yourself to see your own story softly, without judgment, the collapse happens differently. Painful emotion loses strength, the wound is rewritten, fear transforms into available energy. Shamans, therapists, meditators, and anyone who's tried the alchemy of conscious attention tell it this way. Think of a small child. Their gaze isn't shaped by years of beliefs, judgments, or expectations. They see everything with freshness, with wonder, as if the world is born at every step. That's why for them, magic is real. They see possibilities where adults see only limits. Recovering that gaze is possible, and quantum collapse reminds you every time you choose to look again. The latest neuroscience experiments show that your brain changes depending on what you choose to observe and how you observe it. Neural connections reorganize, emotional patterns rewrite themselves, even biology responds to a new focus. It's as if your body, your mind, and your environment all conspire to validate the mystery. What is observed is born. What is ignored dissolves. This doesn't mean everything is instant or that your wishes manifest without friction. The art of collapse is also the art of patience, of conscious repetition, of daily practice. Normalize gray days, moments when you forget your power. This is part of the journey. Relapse isn't failure. It's a reminder that you can always return to your center. What matters is not surrendering to the routine of seeing without truly seeing. A minimum visible step today could be as simple as looking at a problem from a different angle. Ask yourself, what possibility haven't I looked at yet? What detail am I missing? Even on the most confusing days, the question opens invisible portals, frees new paths, awakens dormant possibilities. The field responds to the sincerity of your search. Try this. Next time you feel blocked or lost, take a notebook and write down what's troubling you. Then look at it as if it were the first time. Breathe, relax your shoulders, release expectations. Ask yourself, what new meaning could be born here if I look with new awareness? Maybe you won't see the change instantly. but something starts to move deep inside. The very act of seeing differently activates the mystery. On an esoteric level, manifestation rituals insist on the importance of focus. When you make a wish, when you visualize a goal, what matters most isn't the intensity of the request, but the quality of your presence. A wish made with an absent heart barely touches the field, but an intention felt and held in your inner gaze can shift reality. It's no coincidence that so many traditions use candles, symbols, sounds, or gestures to help focus the mind. They're not superstitions, they're tools to tame the wandering mind and anchor consciousness in the sacred instant where everything can be born. Lighting a candle, drawing a circle, repeating a frequency word, all these prepare the ground for collapse. You align mind, emotion, and energy in a single act of observation. And in daily life, you can do the same without any external object. Just sit, breathe, and look at your experience with fresh eyes. How would your day be if each meeting, each challenge, each joy became an opportunity to see differently? The mystery of collapse doesn't ask for blind faith, just that you experiment. To anchor this teaching, close your eyes and focus on a part of your life that usually goes unnoticed. The feeling of your feet on the ground, the distant murmur of a street, the weight of your body in the chair. Observe it as if it were sacred, as if in that instant everything is born anew. Feel how reality becomes more vivid, closer, more yours. If this experience has awakened something in you, leave your frequency word in the comments. I renew my gaze. Together, we activate a field of expanded presence that is reflected in everything we touch. And if you want more people to awaken to this everyday art of collapse, share this video and leave an altruistic like, not for the numbers, but because together we weave our gazes and multiply the reach of the mystery. In the next few minutes, we'll explore how sustained gaze and conscious intention can transform your relationships, your health, and your destiny, turning everyday life into a true laboratory of applied magic. Somewhere in your memory, you may hold the echo of a conversation that changed everything. It only took a single word, a different gaze, for an old wound to start healing, or for a certainty to tremble and give birth to a new version of yourself. That moment, so subtle, yet so powerful, is the best example of how collapse happens outside the labs, in the intimate theater of everyday life. The mystery of collapse isn't a trick reserved for the initiated, or a rare exception hidden in the margins of science. It's the silent law that governs every encounter, every discovery, every deep transformation. We spend our lives waiting for big signs, drastic changes, when in reality, the extraordinary hides in the details, an unexpected smile, the decision to truly listen, the moment you choose to see the world with less judgment and more wonder. Think about your closest relationships. How often do you take your loved ones for granted, seeing only what you expect to see? Habit, tiredness, old memories filter your perception, and you repeat the same script day after day. But simply observing that person with renewed presence, without projecting old stories, can transform the entire relationship. Quantum collapse happens in the invisible space between two beings. When one truly sees, the other changes, and together they open up a field of unimaginable possibilities. This principle also rules your health. Advanced research shows that conscious attention to your own body can change physiological processes. It's not about denying symptoms or escaping into fantasy, but learning to look at pain or discomfort with compassionate curiosity, without fleeing or fighting. Numerous accounts of spontaneous healing, lasting habit changes, and unexpected improvements have begun with something as simple as stopping the fight and starting to observe. The key is to understand that what you reject, you reinforce; what you ignore, stagnates; but what you embrace with your gaze, transforms. The ancient alchemists described it this way: the shadow, contemplated with courage, turns into gold. Modern studies on neuroplasticity confirm it. When you focus your attention on a new habit, on a constructive emotion, your brain creates new pathways, more flexible, more open to surprise. Spiritually, collapse is the essence of every miracle. Great mystics have taught that the universe responds to the quality of the inner gaze. Jesus said, "Let it be done for you according to your faith." Buddha reminded us, With our thoughts, we create the world. And in magical traditions, sustained visualization, the art of seeing the desired, as if it already exists, is the foundation of any real change. Daily practice can be as simple as observing an uncomfortable emotion, instead of running from it. If sadness visits you today, rather than repressing it or distracting yourself, make space for it. Feel it in your body. Breathe in 4, pause 2, exhale 6. Ask yourself, what story does this emotion tell me? What new possibility wants to be born through it? Sometimes, just by observing, the emotion softens and allows a different exit. This is collapse happening on the emotional level. In indigenous cultures, elders teach children to listen to the wind, to watch the flight of birds, to read the signs of water or fire. They know that nature is a living mirror, and the more attentive you are, the more messages you receive. Collapse here is not just quantum, it's a sacred dialogue between the human soul and the great invisible field of life. And what about desires? Is it true that everything you look at strongly enough can manifest? It's not always so immediate or literal, but reality does gradually shape itself to the pulse of your attention. The coherence between what you think, feel, and do is the most powerful engine of collapse. When your words, thoughts, and actions vibrate at the same frequency, the universe responds. This isn't superstitious magic, it's conscious, practical magic, the kind you can verify in your everyday life. So, here's your minimum visible step for today. Choose a situation in your life that feels stuck. It could be a relationship, an emotion, or a goal that isn't moving. Instead of fighting or giving up, sit in silence, breathe deeply, and look at it with renewed presence. No judgment, no rush. Let the mystery do its work. Observe. Maybe you won't see immediate results, but something starts to move. The simple act of looking is already changing the field of possibilities. If you feel like sharing your experience, leave your frequency word. I manifest my reality. This way, we weave a community of awakened gazes that support and inspire each other. And if this message touches your heart, leave an altruistic like, knowing it's not for numbers, but because together we amplify the resonance of this art, both ancient and futuristic at the same time. In the next few minutes, I invite you to discover how to bring this mystery of collapse into daily life, integrating small rituals and habits that make every day a laboratory of transformation, where your humble but powerful gaze becomes the magic wand of your own destiny. Maybe no one has ever told you this so clearly. You are more than a passive witness to reality. You are a source, a spark, a channel through which the universe takes shape and recognizes itself. What today we call quantum collapse is at heart the art of participating in the everyday miracle of creation. The instant you observe, not just with your eyes, but with your heart and intention, the entire field responds, arranges itself, folds to your consciousness. You may have felt it when a sudden idea lights up your mind, when you exchange a meaningful glance, when you sense the day will take a new direction just because you decided it beforehand. There's a vibration, an almost invisible pulse, that runs through every event when you choose to look differently. Magic, far from being a detail in old stories, is the forgotten science of those who understand the deep relationship between attention and existence. Every morning, the whole universe folds into itself, waiting for your first act of observation. It's a quantum sunrise. Until you look, nothing is truly decided. Everything floats in the fertile field of the possible. But all it takes is your attention, your breath, your smallest intention for apparent chaos to settle and a path to open. That's why every choice, every gesture, every thought becomes the seed of a reality that only you can bring to life. This doesn't mean life is only sweet, or that pain and confusion never appear. The mystery of collapse includes the shadow, the uncertainty, and even loss. But even these moments, if you pass through them with presence and humility, open doors to new ways of seeing, feeling, and existing. Power is not in control, but in observing without judgment, in accepting the complex dance of light and darkness that lives in every moment. Today, more than ever, humanity needs to remember this forgotten art. In a world saturated with stimuli, distractions, and outside voices, the most revolutionary act is to look from within, to choose what energy you feed your field with, and what reality you want to anchor. It's not about denying pain or painting over difficulty, but about bringing awakened consciousness to every corner, every crack, every unfulfilled promise. Let me guide you through a simple ritual, almost secret, yet deeply powerful. Find a moment in your day when you can be calm, even if just for a few minutes. Sit down or stand still, but bring all your attention to your breath. Inhale for 4, pause for 2, exhale for 6. Repeat this rhythm several times, unhurried, as if tuning an instrument. Let each exhale clear away the old, each inhale bring in the new. Now, choose a frequency word, a brief intention, like a seed. It could be renewal, clarity, trust, love, or any word your heart needs today. Feel this word settling into your chest, your mind, the air you breathe. As you repeat it, imagine your gaze as a gentle light expanding from within and touching everything around you. Let that light touch your thoughts, your emotions, your surroundings. Observe without judgment, without trying to fix anything, simply being a loving witness to what emerges. If doubts, fears, or tiredness come up, welcome them. They are part of the field too. Remember, the mystery of collapse doesn't demand perfection, only presence. What you observe is born in that instant, and if you look with compassion, it can transform. In this simple act, you are practicing conscious magic. You are manifesting the ancient art of the sages, being a creator, not by force, but by choice. This is your minimum visible step, to look with intention, with kindness, even if just at one detail. That's enough to begin rewriting the story of your day, your body, your life. Never underestimate the power of small things. So often, the universe folds and reveals unexpected paths to those who dare to look with humility and openness. A chance encounter, a phrase overheard, a renewed feeling can set off collapses of possibility beyond imagination. It all starts with a new gaze, and if you ever forget this power, if you fall back into routine or despair, don't judge yourself. Remember that returning to presence is part of the game. Every relapse is another chance to come back more conscious, more wise, more human. The community we form here is not just of words, but of awakened gazes that support each other along the way. Today, I invite you to leave your frequency word in the comments. I choose to create. Let this intention travel the network as a subtle wave, connecting hearts and realities in the shared art of collapse. And if this message touched something in you, leave an altruistic like, not for the numbers, but for the frequency we raise together, so that others remember their capacity to observe and be born anew. Remember, no moment is lost for those who choose to truly see. The universe is always ready to be born with you, with every breath, every choice, every act of awareness. The mystery of collapse does not end here. It is the doorway to a life where each day you can ask yourself, with renewed wonder, what is waiting for you, ready to be born in the sacred instant of your gaze. We'll meet again on the next journey, where we'll explore how to use the power of observation to open unsuspected paths and multiply magic in every everyday experience. Until then, remember, your gaze is the key, and your awareness, the true portal.